record anything else in the stream. I only practice my editing, but I get used to pressing my Q. I don't know what I met you, but I met you. I will start with this first.
This purchase was a mistake because I didn't consider some of the most important factors when you choose a gaming mouse for Fortnite. That's the size and the weight. You see, you want to use a mouse that is the right size for your hand. When your mouse isn't the right size for your hand, your aim will never be as good as it could be. Look, the Logitech G502 is a very large mouse, but I have quite small hands, so I need a smaller mouse. So how big should your mouse be? First, start by measuring your hand from the base of your wrist to the tip of your middle finger. Next, take that number and multiply it by 0.75, and then again by 0.7, and you should have two values, and you want to look for a mouse that's in between those two values. Of course, this isn't a perfect method, but it's a very good starting point, and you'll be in a much better place than most players, including me when I first chose my mouse. Also, you want to make sure your mouse uses a top sensor. Most gaming mice today do use a good sensor, and as long as you get one from a reputable manufacturer. I also recommend you get a mouse with side buttons, because this will help when customizing your keybinds, and I'll get into keybinds in just a moment, but I want to speak a little bit more about your mouse first, because there's another thing you have to consider, and that's the weight of your mouse. Generally speaking, you want to use a mouse that weighs less than 100 grams, because a lighter mouse is easier to aim with, and it can cause less fatigue. Going back to the Logitech G502 that I had, it weighed 121 grams. In other words, it was like a brick, and it didn't fit my hand, and that was holding me back from being as good as I could be at Fortnite. Eventually, I made the switch and bought the Zowie S2, which is a smaller and lighter mouse, and my aim has never been better. If you need help choosing a mouse, I have a post on my website that covers some of the best gaming mice in Fortnite, including the size and weight of each mouse, to help you find the perfect one.
Oh nice!
I wish something like this existed when I was buying a mouse, and as usual, the link to this will be in the description. The third tip I have for you is that you must find keybinds that work for you. Along with your sensitivity, your keybinds are another very important thing to configure in Fortnite.
I think it's legit on
is one of the most important parts
the
of the
edit
game.
button, and I still can't edit.
Fortnite with a keyboard, you have a bunch of different keys that all need to be assigned to a certain action, as well as your weapon keybinds and your edit keybinds and everything else. But when you play using a controller, you don't need to give too much thought about your keybinds. You can just use the default options, like Builder Pro, and be done with it. Of course, controller players now have the choice to use custom keybinds, but that wasn't an option when I was playing with a controller. Anyway, when you're using a keyboard, you have to use custom keybinds, because the default ones are really bad. With so many keys available, and so many actions to assign, what are you supposed to set your keybinds to? Well, one thing you could do is to look at what the pro players are using, and you could use this as your starting point. ProSettings.net keeps a comprehensive database of pro players and their settings and their keybinds. But you have to bear in mind that what works for one player may not necessarily work for you.
Oh my, legit. What is this game, man?
And prefer to use different fingers and so on. So it's important that you experiment and really think about your keybinds. For example, before I even started to play Fortnite with a keyboard, I already had a rough idea of what good keybinds would be for me. The most important thing to consider is your built-in keybinds. and a good general rule is to bind them to keys that you press with separate fingers, because this will allow you to build most easily and quickly, and that's why getting a gaming mouse with side buttons can be useful. But there are exceptions to every rule, of course.
Flip.
For example, Mr. Savage uses his index finger to press all of his building keys, and he's one of the best Fortnite players in the world. So it's all about practice and experimenting, and making small tweaks over time. And doing this will help you find
Cause I can't do this yet.
Keybinds. This video is already getting a little bit lengthy, so I don't want to go into too much detail about keybinds, but if you want more specific guidance, you can check out some of the videos from It's Jarian, because he has some excellent information. Now the fourth tip I have for you is to get comfortable while playing. Listen, one of the best things about gaming with a mouse and keyboard is that you can play while sitting completely upright, and this is a much more natural posture, which is better for your health, especially in the long term. On the other hand, gaming with a controller usually results in a slouch posture, and at every gaming tournament that I've seen where players are using controllers, the players are eventually heavily hunched over and in an awful posture, and this is terrible for your health. I don't even know if it's possible to play for long periods of time in a good posture when using a controller, because your shoulders need to be slumped forward somewhat to even be able to use a controller. But this just isn't the case with a mouse and keyboard. You can be natural, upright, and comfortable.
Can I edit, man?
Give some consideration to the ergonomics of your setup. For example, you want to be sitting in a comfortable chair and have your desk and monitor at the correct height. There's a great resource on ergonomics from blitzresults.com that will help you calculate the optimal height of your desk and chair based on your measurements, so you can get everything set up perfectly for you, and I'll leave a link to that resource in the description. Another thing you want to consider is the amount of desk space you have. You want to have a suitable amount of space for your mouse and keyboard. You see, when you don't have enough room, then your mouse could hit your keyboard as you try to move around and aim, especially if you use a low sensitivity. Angling your keyboard can help to create more space, and you may also want to consider getting a smaller 10 key less keyboard as well. Some players, for example Daquan, play Fortnite using the keyboard on their lap, but I wouldn't recommend this because it's not really a stable surface, and I can't imagine it's very good for your posture either, because one hand is going to be down low and the other one's going to be up high using the mouse. If you're looking to get a new desk, then I can recommend IKEA, because that's where I got my desk from. I use a Gurton tabletop and it's supported on some Alex scrolls. This is a very common setup from the Battle Stations subreddit, and that's one of my favourite places to go to see beautiful and inspiring setups, so I encourage you to check that out to get some ideas for yourself. The fifth and final tip I have for you is to take advantage of aim trainers to improve your mouse movements quickly. Look, Fortnite is an amazing game. I love it so much that I created a website and a YouTube channel to share my knowledge with as many people as possible, and I'm honoured to have this opportunity. But Fortnite is terrible for anyone that wants to improve their aim fast. Let me explain why. You see, Fortnite has a lot of downtime because it's a battle royale. In other words, there's a lot of time where you're spent not engaging in fights with other players because you're looting, or farming, or just generally running around the map. And when you aren't fighting against other players and practicing your aim, you aren't improving. So here's where aim trainers come in. Aim trainers solve the problem of downtime and allow you to get a great practice session in a short amount of time. Talk about efficiency. There are some free aim trainers available, and some you can even play straight from your browser. But the one I recommend you play is Kovacs FPS Aim Trainer, which you can buy on Steam for a few dollars. Look, all of the best Fortnite players use Kovacs to improve their aim, because they know you're limited to how good you can get by merely playing Fortnite alone. If you're new to playing shooters with a mouse, then you're going to improve at a rapid rate when you use an aim trainer like Kovacs. Of course, it's helpful to know which scenarios to play, because there are over 1,000, so it's easy to get overwhelmed and waste your time playing useless scenarios. I have a guide to Kovacs FPS Aim Trainer on my website, and the link is in the description. In this guide, I'll show you some of the best scenarios to play and improve your aim in Fortnite, and give you some example reviews based on your skill level. So, if you want to take your aim and mouse movements in general to the next level, You should read that now and start playing some Kovacs.
I'm so bad at
So I know
using
I said I had 5
keybinds.
tips for you, but I want to give you a final bonus tip, and that's to not give up.
So bad.
Look, I know it can be tempting to go back to using a controller. After all, you were good at using a controller, and you sucked with a mouse and keyboard. And I know, because I was there once as well.
I was good on keyboard.
But it's okay to suck at something, especially when you're a beginner. You see, when you're a beginner, it's when things are the most difficult. And it's also when you're learning the most and improving at the fastest rate. So you have to stick with it, and keep using your mouse and keyboard, and resist the temptation to go back and use a controller. Because you're just getting started, you're developing new muscles, and your brain is learning new things every time you play. And it's not uncommon to experience some soreness or pains either, especially if you're playing for many hours. And the reason for this is that you're developing new muscles in your hand and arm, muscles that haven't been developed before. And if you are experiencing some soreness or pains, I would recommend taking a break. Make sure you're getting plenty of rest, and plenty of sleep as well. You may also be wondering, how long does it take to get good with a mouse and keyboard? When I first started learning how to play the guitar, I wanted to know how long it would take me to get good, even before I started to play it. You see, we all want to know how long it'll take us to get good or get confident or something, even before we put in the time. The thing is though, you've got to put in the work. And the truth is that it's going to take some people longer than others, because some people just learn faster than others. Also, it depends on how much you're playing and you're practicing. And when I say practicing, I mean really practicing, and not just wasting time. Listen, someone that plays Fortnite and Kovacs over 3 hours a day consistently is going to improve at a much faster rate than someone that's only playing 2 hours a week. So it's difficult to give a definitive answer to how long it'll take you to get good at using a mouse and keyboard. And what even is good anyway? It's such a difficult thing to define because it's so subjective and we all have different definitions, and it's a moving target. The better you get, the more your definition of good is going to be. With that being said, from what I've seen from others that have made the switch to playing Fortnite with a mouse and keyboard, and from my own experience as well, is that it takes roughly 3 months before you start to get confident. At the 3-month point, players typically get about the same level, if not better, than when they were using a controller. But again, it really does depend. The thing is though, the progress doesn't stop after a few months. You still have so much further to go. There's so much more improvement to be had. And that's the beauty of using a mouse and keyboard. The skill ceiling is almost infinite. But you have to be patient and keep pressing onward, because that's the only way you'll be able to really reap the rewards. You may think that picking up a mouse and keyboard to play Fortnite with is going to be easy, because all of the top streamers and pro players have made it look that way, and you may think you're instantly going to become a better player. But it's not that easy. You've got to put the time and the effort in, and you'll even be tempted to give up and go back to the controller if that's what you're used to. I hope you found something of use by watching this video, and if you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps my channel grow. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day and continue to improve each and every day. Peace.
My aim is very bad.
What's going on, guys? It is you, Motivation. That's right, man. Your friend, the one and only. I'm just trying to encourage you guys to be great. Not only in this game, but also, like this. This is your season.
What's going on, man? This thing is double shoot.
Guys, video today. Fortnite Battle Royale has succeeded more than anybody probably ever expected it to, especially over the past 3 years. But that doesn't mean it hasn't had its fair share, of missteps and controversies, right? So in this video today, we're going to be discussing some of the biggest fails in the history of Fortnite. Now, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we got to do our question of what you guys think was Fortnite's biggest fail. I'll let you know my opinion later on this video, so let us know down below. But before we get into this video, if you're looking to get better at Fortnite, because in this new season, we're all about, looking to improve. The meta is shifting very, very rapidly, and, you need to get ahead of the curve. You gotta check out ProGuides.com, where we have pro coaches who can help guide you on your path to greatness by teaching you structure, mental discipline, mechanics, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Alright guys, it's about that time, ladies and gentlemen around the world. It's time to scream this out. It's time to sit back. Come on, relax, and grab some of my favorite candy. What is that? It's that Bunch Crunch. Let's get this going. So when the guided missiles were first added to Fortnite, we probably all knew that it was going to be a terrible idea, right? An explosive weapon that you can control from a distance seems to just go against everything that Fortnite actually stands for. The game is meant to be, about getting into fights that require you to think quickly with your building and, your shooting so that you don't end up eliminated, right? And the guided missile removed it all. So when it was added to the game in patch 3.4, it turned out that everyone's fears were pretty much well-founded. It only took a single patch for Epic to nerf the weapon by a huge amount, increasing the turn rates by 75 and the movement speed by 15%. Even then, it proved to be, way too safe of a weapon for people to use. And it was complained about until it was eventually launched on April 18th, just over a month after being introduced, by the way. So the guided missile was an awful idea, even if it did give us some pretty rocket riding moments. Fortnite Chapter 2 finally released. After days of the game being completely unplayable, everyone was excited. It was a brand new map for us to play on for the very first time. But things ended up getting stale pretty fast, right? We were used to Epic Games dropping a new season of the game every 2 or 3 months. But this time, Epic Games did all the way from October 15th to February 19th. Way over the average. But it was even worse than that, guys. Throughout Season X, we had
Oh my man. Shit, I like keeping them nice, man. Oh no.
Receive content updates, on average, right? Once every week. In Chapter 2, Season 1, that became a lot less stable, and updates can take anywhere from the week we were used to, up to almost 3 weeks. Then on February 5th, we received the last update of the season and got nothing new until Chapter 2, Season 2 released on February 19th. Hopefully Epic has learned from their mistakes and how they handled Chapter 2, Season 1, because none of us wants to experience another season that just drags on like that again. When brutes were added to Fortnite in Season X, we all lost our mind. Remember that? There was a time when Fortnite had no vehicles at all, and then all of a sudden we had this giant mech suit with force fields, rockets, super jump attack, giant machine guns, and a massive self-destruct that dealt 100 damage to all nearby players. Wow. It was one of the most controversial items ever added to Battle Royale, if not the most controversial. Perhaps, more controversial than all of that was the fact Epic Games were willing to ignore anyone who tried to tell them that the brute was a bad idea. They didn't care about the pros' opinions, and they left them in competitive mode. Eventually, they did make fewer brutes spawn in arena and tournament playlists. But with, hashtag remove the mech trending all over Twitter, at the time, it's easy to say that they didn't do nearly enough in the heat of the controversy. The fact that the brute was left in the game for the Champions Series, which had a prize pool of $10 million, was really the icing on the cake. Luckily, the pros knew to team up to take down the mechs if they showed up in the games. When siphoning was added to Fortnite, a lot of us thought it was one of the coolest things that ever happened to the game. It gave us all the ability to play much more aggressively than before, right? Health and shields that we lost during a fight being granted back to us if we managed to eliminate our enemy. Epic Games removed it because they said it made the game too aggressive. Something that most of the fans didn't agree with at all. It was just more complicated than that. Epic removed siphoning from standard playlists because their data said more people were disengaging with the core modes, with players, claiming that they had less of a chance against high-skill players who had full health. So the mechanic is still in the arena mode. And it looks like, that's where it's going to stay. Epic has made a really big effort to make Fortnite more accessible to new players with the addition of mechanics like bots and skill-based matchmaking in Chapter 2, while, relegating the sharper experience of Siphon and the lower levels of materials to the arena mode. Epic Games has been involved in plenty of controversial lawsuits, since they first released Fortnite Battle Royale. But the biggest controversy of them all was probably the time that they sued a 14-year-old boy for supposedly selling Fortnite cheats. Wow. The boy, who we only know as being called, CBB, had his own YouTube channel where he showed off the hacks and then linked them off to a site where they could be bought. Epic accused the kid of having broken copyright and was seeking damages for his actions. Epic argued that the cheats altered its copyright by creating a new version of the game through the injection of altered code. Is it ethical to sue a kid who might not have really known what he was getting himself into? I don't know. Well, the mother of the boy certainly didn't agree. She filed a legal note that ripped Epic's lawsuits to shreds and called for it to be thrown out. Her primary points were that her kid hadn't actually developed the cheats, nor had he distributed them. He actually only downloaded them and streamed them himself, while also linking off to the site he just got them from. Eventually, the case was settled outside of court, but the story serves to be a dark stain on Epic's credibility to this day. So while the Fortnite World Cup last year was one of the coolest moments in the history of Fortnite, it was also filled with its fair share of controversy as well. So, one of those controversial moments was when the players Damien XXIF, Cook, and Renato Mac managed to qualify in the Week 8 competition, even though they had previously been handed a suspension for cheating after Week 3.
This is what Hightech saying as well. Why is he just mining this instead of going for something else?
A log.
Just grabs the ammo. Pickaxe the chest. That's a free point for us, right?
They weren't using aimbots or any type of hacks. Instead, they were colluding with another team during the online open competition. The people XXIF and Renato were colluding with were essentially, feeding kills to them, right? Allowing the team to get more kills than they would have done usually. Videos were posted of players supposedly missing shots on purpose and playing worse than they usually would, just to push XXIF to the top. So in Week 8, XXIF and Renato didn't cheat at all. They finished in 3rd third with 91 total points, which raises a lot of questions about why they felt the need to cheat in the first place. You know, pro players weren't happy with Epic, allowing 2 players to compete on the New York World Cup stage, claiming that letting cheaters into their biggest tournament wouldn't be a good look for the young audience. If we want to talk about like pro Fortnite players cheating, then I guess we probably have to talk about FaZe Jarvis getting banned last year. He was banned because he was using an aimbot on his secondary account to play in solos on the playground mode. It might not sound like such a big deal, I get it. Solos and playground aren't exactly like the competitive arena playlist, but using cheats is directly against Epic Games' company policy, and so he was immediately served a permaban, which also stopped him from competing in any professional tournaments or events. The response from the community was mixed. You know, some people thought that banning Jarvis permanently was a bit of a harsh move, considering it was only his first offense.
Like, I mean, he's still super young, so like, I think he's just a stupid kid making a stupid decision. Didn't really think about it. It wasn't in a tournament, wasn't cashed up, wasn't in anything like that.
While others thought that Epic was doing a good job of making an example for anyone else that might decide to try and cheat the game, right? Showing that they really did have a no-tolerance policy against hackers.
I think he should be banned, because it's people like him that ruin the game for me, whose time is at a premium when we try to play online.
So Jarvis did make an apology video explaining that he knew what he was doing was wrong, and then later on made a music video about the whole situation. Did he really learn from his lesson? I don't know. Probably. Not. So we've already talked about Fortnite suing kids, but what about times celebrities decided to sue Fortnite instead? Alright, so look at this. One of the ways Epic makes most of their money from Fortnite is through selling in-game emotes, right? And a lot of those happen to be famous dance moves. The issue is, you know, a lot of celebrities who created those dance moves have sued the company, claiming that they use their dance moves in the game without any consent. From actors such as Alfonso Ribeiro, you know, who pioneered the now famous, you know, Carlton dance, to rappers like 2 Milli. For a while, you know, it seemed like mostly all these celebrities who had been referenced in Fortnite was going to say something bad about their inclusion. The strangest of all these cases was when Orange Shirt Kid's mom sued Epic for putting his dance into the game. She claimed that because his dance hadn't won, and because Epic had added it as a reaction to the dance becoming a meme on Reddit, it was actually used without consent or authorization. These days, you know, it just really seems like Epic actually gets permission to just like collaborate with these celebrities who create the dance moves in their game, like the addition of the Rick Roll emote, instead of just taking moves that don't technically belong to them. So, when Epic Games added the Infinity Blade into Fortnite, they probably expected it, you know, that we'd all love it, right? I mean, who wouldn't love a game-changing weapon that gives you the ability to leap major distances and just destroy structures with a single swing? Come on now. Maybe it would have been, you know, fine in normal public modes, but including the item in Fortnite's Winter Royale tournament in 2018, which had a prize pool of $1 million, was probably a bad idea. Players have been, like, grinding for weeks at this point, right, to try and qualify for the tournament, only to find that 2 major game-changing patches would be implemented right before the finals. This clip showing a player cutting through structures and enemies alike as the final circle closes in just goes to show why adding the Infinity Blade into one of the game's biggest tournaments at the time was a decision that really lacked judgment. It can't feel good to practice your building and shooting for weeks on end, right? Only to then like get cut down by somebody jumping across the map with a sword that can instantly delete you as if you didn't do anything. Alright, so we've spoken a lot about cheating in this video so far, right? Pro players who got other people to feed them kills, and a FaZe member who, you know, used hacks on a secondary account. Neither of those cases can quite match the time. Johnny?
Yeah?
Do not use the gun. Why?
Mum, should I wash out the bath first? Okay.
Okay, stream. Well, I'm getting better with these keybinds. Oh. Oh no.
K, who used to be a part of Team Caliber, got caught attempting to cheat in the Fortnite World Cup. Oh no. With a prize pool of over $40 million, it's understandable that every Fortnite pro would want a piece of action, right? And to make it that far, you really had to be the best of the best. Johnny K was a good player. I mean, he must have been, right? Otherwise, he would have never even been signed onto a pro team. But clearly, he had some doubts about whether he could perform on the world stage biggest place because he was trying to buy cheats from a hacker. The cheats were ESPs, which would have allowed him to see enemy players through walls. So when it all came out, courtesy of the hacker himself and a YouTuber called the Fortnite Guy, Team Caliber immediately dropped him from the roster. After everything went down, Johnny K deleted his social media accounts, and it looks like he never ended up returning. Probably a good thing when you try to hack your way into the biggest Fortnite tournament to ever happen. All right, guys, once again, this is your motivation guide. That's right, your friend, the one and only Keith Allen. We're so glad that you watched the video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and show ProGuides.com some love for showing you this video. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Hey, I'm Mason. This is Maze Gamer. I want you my house, baby, you do. And then, you see me do it, Ben? Here's my favorite clips. Sorry to kill me! Sorry to kill me! Flipping slice! Jeez, you people are sick.
Maybe not. Why am I pressing that wrong buttons now? I'm gonna get pressing the wrong button.
Fortnite might seem like a casual, kid-friendly game on the surface, but if you dig
Oh,
down
we hit
deeper, you'll
those.
find players spending countless of hours honing their skills, dedicating their lives to the game, not only to be the best, but also at a shot at winning millions in prize money. What up, guys? My name is Christoph, and in this video, we'll be discussing the full competitive history of Fortnite, from its earliest points back in 2017 in the first few seasons, leading up to the insane prize pools and competition we see today. But before we get into it, if you guys want to start winning more in Fortnite and flex on your friends, then go to ProGuides.com and find yourself a pro-level coach right now. Before Tfue, before Mongrel, before all the competitive Fortnite superstars, there was just a game, and it wasn't all too popular. Our story begins all the way back on September 27th, 2017 with the beginning of Fortnite. Fortnite Battle Royale is one of the many Battle Royale games that saw success around 2017. A few other popular titles at the time included H1Z1 Battle Royale, which was a fighting ground for some of the top streamers we know and love today, including Tfue and Ninja. Another big game at that time was PlayerUnknown's Battleground, or PUBG for short. The success of these games largely influenced Epic Games,
I keep
who at the
pressing that
time was a
wrong
relatively
one.
small game company, to dive into the Battle Royale genre using their existing game, Save the World, as the foundation for Fortnite Battle Royale. This proved to be a great idea because of Save the World's core gameplay mechanic, building. Building gave Fortnite a unique twist that no other Battle Royale had, and is what makes Fortnite so special to this very day. Fortnite Battle Royale launched in September and saw success that was nothing short of incredible, with 1 million players in the first 24 hours, quickly shooting up to 10 million in the first few weeks. It's safe to say that Battle Royale was a massive hit. However, no matter how popular Fortnite became, the entire esports community never believed it could be more than just a kid's game. But then Season 2 came and introduced us to the first generation of competitive Fortnite superstars. Starting in the earliest parts of Fortnite history all the way back in early December of 2017, we saw the first ever competitive Fortnite event take place, an invitational event with all the top content creators. This was before most of us had probably even heard the name Fortnite. This was just at the start of Season 2, since the new crazy updates were showing so much potential for the game, and Fortnite Battle Royale was blowing up at a ridiculous rate. Unlike the packed stadiums of today's tournaments, these Fortnite invitationals were held in online custom games, similar to any standard scrim nowadays. The players that Epic invited included popular Fortnite streamers, with Daquan and High Distortion being a few of the biggest names. And while there weren't any cash prizes or rewards, this was really the first competitive event ever, and was the start of something big. The player who won this tournament, the first ever Fortnite tournament, did so in dominating fashion. Can you guys guess who it is? There were 5 total games, and believe it or not, the same player won all 5 of them. This player was none other than Daquan, who later joined TSM as a popular streamer and content creator. Daquan was the ultimate player early on in competitive Fortnite, and this performance put him in the conversation for the best in the world. Moving on to later in Season 2, we saw the rise of TSM Myth and his creation of the first ever competitive Fortnite Discord server. Since there were no custom games and no major competitive events at the time, the pros were forced to take things into their own hands. They set up a bootleg scrim where they'd all get into the same Discord call, start a countdown, and ready up at the same time to get into this same game. Countdown scrims, as they were called, were the first ever form of the pro scrims we see today. This was the point where a few new names, Keybinds and Daquan, were popping up, and all of these guys were somewhat pro players who dominated the scene. With an emerging competitive scene and hungry players looking to improve, the flame of competitive Fortnite had officially been ignited. Season 2 drew to a close, and with it came the rise of Season 3, and the birth of squad scrims. Until this point, scrims had been all about solos and duos, but Season 3 is when playing as a full squad really blew up. These squad scrims were absolutely amazing to watch. The teamwork and coordination it took to compete at this level, even at such an early time in the game's history, could not be understated. Viewers were glued to their monitors watching competitive scrims unfold, and major esports teams quickly took notice. Fortnite views were skyrocketing at this point, and every esports org wanted to make a name for themselves in the scene. Everyone was practicing and practicing, but they still didn't really know what they were practicing for. Scrims continued to soar in popularity, and pros were popping up in the scene left and right. Moving into Season 4, we finally saw the announcement of the first ever official competitive mode, the Solo Showdown. While there still weren't cash prizes, V-Bucks were given away in their stead. 51st through 100th place got 7,500, 5th through 50th got 13,500, 2nd through 4th got 25,000, and finally, first place in the Solo Showdown got 50,000 V-Bucks. In this game mode, each player played 50 solo games. They were scored based on their placement alone, so we really saw some great games. The winner of the Solo Showdown was a player by the name of V Ruthless, who won 48 out of their 50 matches, closely followed by the player we all know, NRG Zate, who at the time wasn't in NRG. But the Solo Showdown pales in comparison to Epic's massive announcement for their inaugural competitive season. They shocked the world when they said they'd be providing $100 million in prize money for the next year of competitive play. They said this in their announcement. And oh boy, was this announcement insane. $100 million is a crazy amount, and then finally, one day before the release of Season 5, the announcement was made for the first time ever in a major Fortnite competition, the $8 million Fortnite Summer Skirmish. Summer Skirmish was an 8-week series of qualifiers with $8 million in prize money overall. This was the real beginning for competitive Fortnite. The days of cashless V-Buck prize money tournaments were over, and people could not be more excited. In the Summer Skirmish, each player played 10 games, with their prize being based off their elimination and placements. The top players from each qualifier would move on to the grand finals where they pit their skills against